That's why you had the people of Sierra Leone, the people in Ghana, the people in Mozambique. You had the people in Ethiopia. You had the people in China and Guangzhou. You had the people in Japan. You had the people in India, the Siddhis. You had the Dalits. You had the people in America, the people in the Solomon Islands, the Oceania regions. All of them are hidden from their identity. None of them know who they are. All of us are lost. That's why Christ says, I am not sent but unto the lost sheep of the house of Israel. We're the lost. We're lost to our identity. We're lost to our culture. We're lost to our land. We're lost to our condition. We're the lost sheep of the house of Israel that Christ was speaking about. Christ went into the poor. Christ went to the downtrodden. Christ went to the oppressed. Read.
But they have consulted together with one consent.
Read.
They are confederate against thee.
Read.
The tabernacles of Edom.
The Bible says that God's listen now. Every single nation. You said God so loved the world. God says, no. I'm going to reveal the mystery. I'm going to show you a secret. I'm going to whisper in my prophet's ear and says, look at what have Edom done. The what?
The tabernacles of Edom.
Esau today. Edom, the children of Edom, the so-called Europeans, the Caucasians, whether it be the French, the Dutch, the Spanish, the Portuguese, the British, the Russians, the Ukrainians, the Americans, the British. The Bible says the tabernacle of Edom. Read.
And the Ishmaelites.
And the Ishmaelites. The Ishmaelites is going to the Arabs. Go on.
And of Moab.
Oh, you thought the Palestinians that they get off scot-free. You thought that the Palestinians, as much as they suffer, you think that they didn't have a hand. Not knowing that you have Afro-Palestinians in the land. That they're still killing while they're being killed. That they're still oppressing while they're being oppressed. The Bible's revealing the people that you cry for, that you mourn, when there's atrocity, the Bible says, no, these people are afflicting you. You don't even know. You're mourning for a sympathy. When the tsunami happened in Japan a while ago, when they had all those with Fukushima, with the reactor, people said, pray for Japan, not knowing that Japan had a role in our slavery. Right now, because of democracy, you think that, oh, everything's good because you have a little freedom, you have a little job. You can eat your little your chicken fried rice, your noodles, your lo mein, your ramen noodles. You think that you're free. Oh, in China, you think that you're free. In America, because you got a job in a house, in a car, you think you're free. The Bible says, no, it's a lie. You just went from one form of slavery, shackles and irons and chains, to another form of slavery, which is the mental incarceration. They got your mind now. They don't need to get you and put you in ships and shackles and chains when they could get your mind. As long as they could chain your mind, that's the greatest slave trade. To know that, not to even realize that you're a slave. But even with, at least with the shackles and chains, we knew we were slaves. But now, how can you see the shackles within your mind? To deny your very nationality. You don't even know. Read on.
And the Hagarenes.
And wait, you missed something. After Ishmael's who?
Of Moab.
And of what?
Of Moab.
And of Moab. Captain Gedaliah just went and prophesied against Moab all the evil that they're doing against us. And to Psalms 83, I'll say it again, I call Psalms 83 the hidden cultures. Now you have some of the nations, it's a little bit more easier to be able to identify the Israelites. Those are more black continents when they don't have so much of the other nations that's listening to Psalms 83 ruling over them to hide their information. Psalms 83, in order to determine, if you want to find the Israelites, go looking for all these nations that God is listing, go into the archives and dig deep because our history is there. God has given us a blueprint, a map of where the Israelites are. Not only Isaiah 11:11, not only Genesis chapter 49, but God has given us a blueprint on the other side of the world too. Ishmael, the Arabs, other side of the world. Moab, other side of the world. God is showing you on the other side of the world, they're taking crafty counsel against the Israelites living in China, living in Arabia. Go on.
And the Hagarenes.
The Egyptians. We have Israelites still to this day in Egypt. I ain't talking about the Arabs. I'm talking about the children of Israel today is living in the land of Egypt today. Go on.
Gebal,
Africans. Go on.
And Ammon.
And what?
Ammon.
Oh, you thought the Japanese. Because I know a lot of people that speak about their experience in Japan, and a lot of people have a good experience. You see, it's good over here. We escaped the racism of America to go into Japan and to eat ramen noodles. God bless the Ammonites. God bless the Japanese. No, the Bible says also, and Ammon has a crafty counsel. Do you know? Let me tell you something. Out of all the research I've done, and it's true, out of all the books I went through, the most difficult history to uncover was Ammon. I never seen anything like that in my life. It's so difficult that even scholars said it's the most confusing history they ever seen. The Ammonites even confused themselves. All of the history is wrapped up in some type of Japanese mythicism. It's called the Nihonji, or the Japanese Chronicles. They didn't really document the history and scrolls that well. They documented and they combined it with Japanese mythicism, and it's extremely difficult. It took me weeks and weeks and weeks to figure out and put the pieces to the puzzle together, but we got it now. The Lord showed us. Right. The Lord showed us and told us a secret.
That's
he says,
right.
I'm going to show you something. You see that man right there? Here it is. That's why the mystery is being revealed in these last days. Go on.
And Ammon. And Amalek.
And what?
Amalek.
Amalek is the so-called Jewish people, the so-called the Ashkenazis, the Khazarians. Amalek, the people that occupy the land of Israel today. The Bible says that they're not the Jews, but they're Amalek. They have a crafty counsel against our people too. Is that it?
The Philistines with the inhabitants of Tyre.
The Philistines are going to the Nilotic tribes. I'm not talking about the Israelites living in Africa, but you have the Nilotic tribes in Africa, or the Hamitic tribes. I'm not talking about the Shemites living like such as Ghana. The Shemites, the Shanti tribes, the Akan, going into the Yoruba, the Igbo, Ethiopia. I'm not talking about that. Go on. Is there anything else? Now. Let's dive deep into Japanese history. Let's unveil, not only unveiling Japanese history, but we're unveiling our history and Japan and the Great Migration. Now, next week, like I said, life lasts because of the snowstorm, and there's a lot of information I came across and put together. We're going to go over the Southern Kingdom later on next week, and we're going to go a little bit more in depth. So this is going to be a two-part class. Well, two-part, it's not the same class, but I'm going to split it into two parts to talk about the same topic, Japan. Now, let's go into the beginning, the origins, the book of Genesis. Genesis chapter 19, verse 30. Now, the book of Genesis, the origins, the beginning of all nations, the birth of all nations. Yep. Genesis chapter 19, verse 30. Let's get into it.
Sir,
we got a lot of good stuff for you tonight.
Genesis chapter 19, verse 30. And Lot went up out of Zoar and dwelt in the mountain.
Now, Lot went up. Lot was a Hebrew. I'll say it again. Lot was a Hebrew. Because people say, oh, no, you listen. Lot was a Hebrew. Lot spoke Hebrew. So a lot of times you see similarities in terms of Hebrew language with some of these cultures. They have the Hebrew infused with them. Go on.
And dwelt in the mountain, and his two daughters with him. For he feared to dwell in Zoar. And he dwelt in a cave, he and his two daughters. And the firstborn said unto the younger, Our father is old, and there is not a man in the earth to come in unto us.
Now, just to give you some background history, what just happened, because I'm not going to read the whole history. A lot of you should have already gone over this. But Sodom and Gomorrah just got overthrown and completely wiped off. 5 cities was destroyed off of the face of the earth. And Lot's wife decided to look back, and she got turned to the pillar of salt. So she was destroyed. So Lot, and it's just Lot now, him and his daughters, just the 3 of them, and the 3 of them think that the whole world has been completely destroyed. It's just the 3 of them left on the earth. So just give you a little bit of background history. Go on.
Our father is old, and there is not a man in the earth to come in unto us.
She said, our father is old, and there's not a man on this earth to come in unto us, meaning to bear our children. Read.
After the manner of all the earth. Come, and let us make our father drink wine, and we will lie with him, that we may preserve seed for our father.
So now people thinking, that's disgusting. Why would the Lord allow this? Understand the mentality of them back there in that time period. They thought Sodom and Gomorrah was the world. was what is one of the greatest empires at that time period. 5 cities, the Lord destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah, and they thought that was it for the world. They thought they were the only 3. So the daughters saying, you know what? If we don't do this, if we don't try to preserve the seed between us and our father, even though it's unheard of and it's unlawful, then how are we going to populate the earth? So they made a conscious decision at that time, and the Lord put in the spirit to bring forth nations. Go on.
And they made their father drink wine that night. And the firstborn went in and lay with her father. And he perceived not when she lay down, nor when she arose.
So the firstborn had sex with her father. God damn. And now he was drunk. Imagine as a man, people say, well, he broke the commandments. All right, Mr. So self-righteous. Mr. So self-righteous. The brother just seen his whole world, his wife killed, his family members, his friends, everybody destroyed by fire. The man went to have a drink. What do you have a drink after a hard day at work? You have a little drink, a little sip. And sometimes you guys go a little bit extra because of the burden of society or life. So he had a drink and got drunk. So his daughters took that time to have sex with him. Read on.
And it came to pass on the morrow that the firstborn said unto the younger, Behold, I lay yesternight with my father. Let us make him drink wine this night also, and go thou in and lie with him, that we may preserve seed of our father.
It wasn't so much that they was being nasty. They wanted to preserve seed from their father so they could repopulate the earth. Go on.
And they made their father drink wine that night also. And the younger arose and lay with him. And he perceived not when she lay down, nor when she arose.
Read on.
Thus were both the daughters of Lot with child by their father.
So both of the daughters were with child by their father. Go on.
And the firstborn bare a son and called his name Moab. The same is the father of the Moabites unto this day.
Read on.
And the younger, she also bare a son and called his name Ben-Ami.
So now what we have right here is called incest. Give me the article real quick. So so you had the first son that came out was Moab, and the second was Ben-Ami, which is also Ammon. Now, most of the time, it's called a genetic defect. When you have sex or incest or inbreed within your family line, your father, your mother, or your daughter, or sometimes even your first cousin, there's sometimes some type of genetic defects that come along with that. Now, back in ancient times, or not ancient times, now today they call it one of the mental defects that you have, and like you said before, anybody that has children with Down syndrome, there's nothing against you. We're only bringing out the history concerning these 2 sons. Now, one of the mental defects that come out from incest, I say one of them is Down syndrome. But that wasn't always the terminology. Back then, before it was changed, it was called Mongoloism. Now, can we get the article?
Background. Among the genetics disorders.
Go down. So keywords: consanguinity, chromosomal disorder, and Down syndrome. Yep, introduction.
Down syndrome affects up to 1 in 700 live births, and among the mentally retarded population, its prevalence is reported to be approximately 15%.
All right, is anything down? Keep going down. Keep going. Yep, right there.
Consanguinity is also reported to be associated with DS. This finding is in contrast to another study claiming that consanguinity.
Hey, can we look up what consanguinity means?
Consanguinity, the fact of being descended from the same ancestor.
All right, give me another one. Let's see more. Let's get another definition. Okay, right there.
Consanguinity.
The second one.
A close relation or connection.
A close relation, closely related to by genetics. Now let's go back.
Consanguinity is also reported to be associated with DS.
So consanguinity, incest, having sex with somebody that's closely related to you, is associated with Down syndrome. Go on.
This finding is in contrast to another study claiming that the consanguinity was not a significant factor in the incidence of Down syndrome.
So Esau would try to hide it and say, no, consanguinity, meaning having sex with somebody related to you, it has nothing to do with Down syndrome and the mental effects that go with it. So Esau tried to lie, but that's not the case. They said that consanguinity has something is associated with Down syndrome. Go on.
Because of the controversy about this matter and a belief in our society that there may be a relationship between the consanguinity and Down syndrome, this study was performed to evaluate the frequency of parental consanguinity, maternal age, in the patients with DS.
So Down syndrome is correlated or is closely related to what is called consanguinity, incest, inbred, having sex with somebody that's closely related to you. And so the same thing that happened with Lot and having sex with his 2 daughters is consanguinity in today's terminologies. But the Bible calls it Down syndrome. But the ancient terminology for Down syndrome was this. Read.
The origins of the term Down syndrome. In 1866, British physician John Langdon Down, for whom the syndrome is now named.
So it was named after a British physician. It says Down Langdon Down syndrome. So he changed the name and gave, that's what Esau do. Not only do they call lands after the names, but they call syndromes after the names too. So John Langdon Down, that's what it's come Down syndrome from. They changed it, and like I said, they changed these things to hide from you. So when we reveal the history of certain things, read that.
The Japanese are as a Mongolian in their basic stock as are the Chinese and Koreans.
So Mongolian or Mongolianism comes from what is called Mongolian. Mongolian is Down syndrome, a mental birth defect based upon consanguinity. How do we know? Lot had sex with his daughters that produced Moab and Ben-Ami, Ammon. So these are some of the defects, what happens when you have incest or inbred. You have sex with somebody that's closely related to you. Your eyes are chinky a little bit. Your face is a little bit more rounder. So that's why you have the Moabites as well as the Ammonites or the Chinese or the Japanese have distinct features different from everybody else based upon this history that we're reading in Genesis chapter 19. But you say the Bible's not true. Oh, the Bible's the most truest book on this earth.
What is the nation?
Nation is men leading by example. Nation is family. Nation is community. Nation is children with role models. Nation is unity. Nation is you.
And finally, my brethren, be strong in the Lord. His word